The moment that changed everything. Sitting across my first hypnotherapy client, doubting everything about my transition from musician and business consultant to hypnotist. When he opened his eyes, visibly lighter and smiling after just one session, I realized that my unusual background had prepared me perfectly for this type of work. The unexpected connection between musical composition and mind transformation has since become the foundation of my approach. Both disciplines work with the same elements: rhythm that creates emotional shifts, patterns that bypass conscious resistance, and the delicate art of guiding without controlling. This insight has now helped thousands change their lives in ways they never thought possible, and has made my practice the highest rated in two major cities. I say this not because of any special talent, but a belief that music and hypnosis share a surprising connection: rhythm that stirs emotions, patterns that bypass resistance, and the art of guiding without control. It's about helping people recompose their mental soundtrack, thus creating space for organic, lasting change to naturally unfold. From skeptic to believer, what changes a business consultant's mind about hypnosis? Well, for me, it wasn't theory or persuasion. It was seen and actually work. I started with the same skepticism that most people have. The stage shows and movie portrayals made it seem like mind control, something closer to magic rather than therapy. That changed when I tried it myself. The first time I experienced hypnosis, I felt my body respond in ways I couldn't explain logically. My breathing had slowed, my muscles had relaxed, and my thoughts had quieted like a light knob, slowly dimming my thinking, all without any conscious effort. That moment made me question everything I assumed about how the mind works. Joining a street hypnosis group had deepened that curiosity. The atmosphere was casual but electric, with a mix of laughter and quiet inner focus. Watching strangers go from fully alert to deeply relaxed in minutes was astonishing. Some even walked away with genuine shifts in their behavior. One man, a 15-year smoker, walked away with no urge to light a cigarette. A woman with chronic insomnia felt confident she could now sleep all throughout the night for the first time in years. Their expressions, their relief, surprise, even joy, were unforgettable. These weren't stage performances, they were ordinary people experiencing extraordinary change. The consistency of these results had forced me to reconsider what was possible. My first clients, as a practicing hypnotist, had confirmed it. A nurse with a decades-long fear of needles got a flu jab without flinching. A business executive, paralyzed by public speaking anxiety, delivered a keynote without notes or hesitation after one session alone. These weren't flukes. The more clients I had worked with, the clearer it became. Hypnosis wasn't about mind control or mental mind tricks. It was about guiding people to access states their minds already knew how to reach. What surprised me the most was how my musical training gave me an advantage. I noticed the same patterns in hypnosis that I'll use in composition: the rise and fall of tone, the pacing of phrases, the way rhythm creates expectation. Just like music, effective hypnosis relies on timing and emotional resonance. A well-structured induction mirrors a song's progression, building tension and releasing ways that feel natural. That realization shifted my approach from following scripts to crafting sessions as deliberately as I once wrote melodies. This led to developing a method that blends precision with adaptability. Instead of rigid techniques, I focus on principles: how to match a client's breathing, how to pace suggestions so they land without resistance, and many clients had responded differently. Those who struggled with meditations and other hypnotists told me afterwards, it didn't feel like you were doing anything to me. It felt like you helped me do it myself. That distinction became the core of my practice. The music-hypnosis connection. Music trained me to listen, to notes and the spaces between them, like the pause in a melody that creates anticipation. The same quiet is where transformation begins in hypnosis. At first, the connection, it wasn't obvious. How could arranging chords help someone quit smoking or overcome anxiety? But the more sessions I conducted, the clearer the parallels became. Both music and hypnosis rely on timing, pacing, and the strategic use of silence. For example, during one session, a well-timed pause after suggestion, "You are safe," allowed the words sink in deeper, creating a profound sense of inner calm. The rhythm of speech in hypnosis mirrors musical phrasing. When I guide someone into relaxation, I match their breathing pattern first, like syncing to a metronome. Then I gradually slow my voice, stretching these spaces between words. This natural shift, much like a composer easing from allegro to adagio, creates a natural flow akin to a river. One client described it as feeling pulled into a slower current. That alignment bypasses resistance because it feels inevitable. Melody translates too. In music, certain intervals evoke specific emotions. A minor third sounds somber, whilst a major sixth feels uplifting. I use vocal tonality the same way in sessions. Lowering pitch on certain key words anchors them. Rising inflection creates forward momentum. A man working on public speaking fear responded differently when I emphasized confidence with a ascending tone versus a flat delivery. His subconscious picked up the cue before his conscious mind had ever caught up. Emotional resonance ties it all together. A song connects when it mirrors what the listener feels. Hypnosis works similarly. If someone arrives frustrated, starting with forceful suggestions backfires. Instead, I meet their energy first, acknowledging the frustration in my tone, then guided towards calm. One woman had clenched her jaw throughout the first 10 minutes of a session. When I mirrored her attention verbally by saying, "Yeah, it's been exhausting, hasn't it?" her shoulders dropped. Only then could we shift to solutions. The precision required in music production also applies in hypnotherapy. Studio engineers know that tiny adjustments can transform a mix. Hypnosis has similar fine-tuning. With a client struggling to sleep, shifting a phrase from "you're fallen asleep" to "sleep finds you easily" made all the difference. Her conscious mind stopped fighting the directive when it felt less like a command. Ultimately, hypnosis is like recomposing mental soundtracks. Many clients arrive stuck in mental loops, the same anxious thoughts replaying like a broken record. My job isn't to delete these thought tracks, but to help them rewrite them. Another example was when a former athlete was stuck replaying his old injury, had learned to slow down the memory, soften its edges, and eventually change its meaning. 6 months later, he sent a video of himself hiking again. The reality magician's evolution. What separates someone who applies techniques from someone who truly understands the mind? Early in my practice, I operated as what I call a reality mechanic, relying on a set of proven hypnosis scripts and methods. If a technique worked, great. If it failed, I assumed the problem lay with the tool or the client's responsiveness. This approach got results, but only to a point. When faced with complex cases, like a trauma survivor who disassociated during standard inductions, my toolbox felt inadequate. That limitation had pushed me to become a reality engineer. Instead of just using techniques, I studied why they worked. I analyzed the mechanics of language patterns, the neuroscience behind trance states, and how suggestion interacts with memory. This deeper understanding let me modify methods in real time. With that same trauma client, I slowed the induction pace and used metaphorical language instead of direct suggestions. The shift worked because I wasn't just following steps, you see, I understood how to adjust them. In other words, I understood how to adjust the process and apply it to fit the client's needs. The turning point came when I moved beyond engineering to what I now call reality magician. This isn't about literal magic, but the ability to create entirely new approaches tailored to unique situations. One pivotal session involved a CEO who needed to project authority whilst maintaining being approachable or approachability. Standard hypnosis protocols didn't address this nuance. Drawing on principles of vocal tonality and body memory from my music training, we developed a method where he associated specific postures with emotional states. The transformation felt effortless, but it came from combining disciplines in a way no manual prescribed. This evolution was truly a breakthrough and changed outcomes across all client types. Business leaders could access creativity on demand after years of rigid thinking. Phobia sufferers responded to customized metaphors rather than standard desensitization scripts, such as a woman with a lifelong fear of bridges crossed the Golden Gate within a week by reframing her anxiety through metaphors of support beams in her life. The Arthurian legend captures this best. In her stories, Merlin doesn't solve problems for Arthur. He guides him to discover his own power. That's the relative magician's role. I once worked with a surgeon who froze during high-risk procedures. Instead of giving him relaxation cues, we uncovered how his childhood piano training had wired him for precision under pressure. By reactivating those neural pathways, he regained control, not through my magic, but by accessing what he already had possessed. This philosophy shapes how I work with high-profile clients today. Executives, athletes, and performers don't need canned solutions. They need approaches that respect their unique mental architectures. A concert musician came to me with stage fright rooted in perfectionism. Standard confidence visualizations would have failed. Instead, we reframed his anxiety as the same energy that once drove him to practice scales for hours on end, just needing redirection. The solution emerged from his existing strengths, not a generic template. My role is to help clients uncover their own untapped personal power. Executives, athletes, and performers don't need generic one-size-fits-all solutions. They need approaches that respect their unique strengths and mental architectures, their own reservoir of potential. Transformations without mysticism. Stage shows get it wrong. Hypnosis isn't about swinging pocket watches or making people cluck like chickens. It's a clinical tool with measurable effects. So, for example, in over 5,000 clients' interactions, I've seen consistent patterns of hypnosis helping people quit smoking, recover from trauma, and even overcome stage fright. The real challenge lies in separating the theatrical tropes from the science. When I explain hypnosis to new clients, I compare it to targeted mental rehearsal. An athlete visualizing a perfect dive activates the same neural pathways as physically performing it. Hypnosis works similarly, just with more precision. Take smoking cessation. The average success rate with willpower alone is around 5%. With hypnosis, my clients maintain a 75% quit rate after 6 months. This difference comes from addressing subconscious associations. Rewind the mental link between coffee breaks and, say, cigarettes, for example, or stress relief and nicotine. One executive quit after 20 years by realizing his smoking ritual was just a way to pause his relentless productivity. Through hypnosis, he replaced that habit with deep breathing, satisfying the same needs without cigarettes. Trauma recovery highlights the neurological basis even more vividly. The brain stores traumatic memories differently than regular ones, often fragmented and tied to intense physical sensations. Standard talk therapy can re-traumatize by forcing clients to relive events linearly. Hypnosis allows reprocessing through metaphor and somatic awareness. A veteran with PTSD from combat zones learned to visualize his memories as museum exhibits, present but behind solid glass. He described the shift as seeing the chaos of war through a soundproof window. His nervous system started reacting to triggers because the memories had lost their visceral immediacy. The science explains his outcomes. Functional MRI studies show hypnosis alters activity in the anterior cingulate cortex, the brain's conflict resolution center. This lets clients reconsider automatic reactions without the usual mental friction. Another study at Stanford found hypnotizable people can block pain by disassociating sensory input from emotional response, useful for both chronic pain sufferers and performers managing stage fright. One client, who is a concert violinist, used this principle to reframe her pre-show jitters as focused energy rather than panic, thus transforming her musical performances. What makes hypnosis practical is its narrative flexibility. People don't respond to facts. They respond to stories they believe about themselves. A client convinced she'll always be overweight because of her genetics lost 20 pounds after reshaped that story. Through hypnosis, she began seeing her body as responsive rather than predetermined, which changed her eating habits without white-knuckle willpower. The weight loss was just a side effect of reshaping her new self-concept, her narrative. Hypnosis didn't impose willpower, it rewired her perspective, making change feel natural. These days, all of my sessions are conducted remotely, as this approach works globally through virtual sessions. A tech founder in Singapore overcame his fear of investor pitches after 3 WhatsApp sessions. We didn't focus on confidence affirmations. Instead, we tied his presentation skills to his existing competence in coding tutorials. The shift felt natural because it built on an established strength rather than imposing foreign concepts. External validations, like being named best rated hypnotherapist in New York and Melbourne, matter only because they reflect client outcomes. The recognition verifies what these sessions demonstrate. When you treat hypnosis as a precision tool rather than a mystical cure, people change faster than they expect. A surgeon I work with reduced his pre-operation anxiety by around 80% after 3 sessions. His colleagues noticed a difference in his steady hands before incisions. Conclusion. Music taught me to listen for patterns. Business consultants show me how to solve problems. Neither seemed related until they did. When combined together, they revealed an unexpected truth. Every past experience is a tool. Your unique skills, like the surgeon's piano training or the CEO's debate expertise, are waiting to be unlocked. What dormant abilities do you already possess that could awaken and ultimately transform your life? What untapped potential in you is still yet to be explored? Real change begins with paying attention to the rhythms in conversations, the cadence of thoughts, the spaces between actions. My clients thrive when they stop resisting their minds and start collaborating with them. Now it's your turn. What mental soundtrack needs remixing in your life? The first step doesn't require much effort. It's just noticing patterns of thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that are shaping your world. This is Marco Cello. Thank you for watching.